Greetings and salutations. And this one is going to be a bit of a somber thing for a few reasons. One, we had a flood, and this is why this video is late. Number two, I'm going to be retelling my tales of my entire World of Warcraft experience as I am retiring. I made High Warlord, which was the last thing I needed to do. And upon making High Warlord, I even emptied out my quest log, because I'm going to end it the way I began. I started way back in the beta. I played this game for going on 21 years now. And when I started way back in the beta, I played Alliance. I played a human paladin. Well, the reason I played a human paladin is quite simple. I always loved the idea of a paladin class, the holy warrior that was kind of like an offensive hybrid between sword and spell. And I thought to myself, boy, I really need to, have this idea, of, what it should be to be, this holy warrior of sword and spell. And I kind of had this idealistic viewpoint on the game. And in the beta, the paladins were extremely overpowered. Way overpowered. They used to have Crusader Strike, and they used to have Holy Strike. Crusader Strike was a lot like Sunder Armor, except it allowed you to do more damage on your next holy damage. It would do more damage, and it wouldn't consume Crusader Strike. This allowed priests to also be DPS priests in Discipline, which explains the holy crit talents and everything they had. Because it would allow people to be, the holy / discipline priest. And then we got into the beta way late. We were one of the last people to get into the beta. We didn't get much past level 14. And when that happened, they got rid of the beta, and then it was getting ready for launch. But we learned that they switched from Holy Strike and Crusader Strike to Seal and Judge system. And the Seal and Judge system kind of failed expectations, and it made them feel terrible. So when the retail game came out, I didn't buy it immediately. Now, mind you, I was a big fan of Warcraft 2 and Warcraft 3 and Beyond the Dark Portal and Reign of Chaos, and I was just a big fan of everything. And as I was this big fan of everything, I waited. I went up to the city, and I got up to the counter, and I'm like, yeah, I'd like a copy of World of Warcraft. He's like, well, we don't have any standard edition left. All we have left is, well, as you can see there, collector's edition. So, I got my mini Diablo. I started my adventure. And when I started my adventure, I started out as a Tauren shaman named Ebonmane. I made him a tailor, because I thought, well, he's going to need bags, and I heard that tailoring could make you bags, so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have my storage solutions. I'm going to be able to make the bags. And I didn't really care too much that it was cloth gear. I was like, alright, whatever. And I thought if I want to go healing, I can get healing gear. And if I wanted to go spell DPS, there was some cloth gear for that too. And I thought, well, it would work. And I wanted that offensive hybrid. And because they nerfed paladins so hard, I thought, okay, let's go with the shaman. He's got spells, he's got weapons. Go for it. Well, Ebonmane made it to about level 42, 43. And then he hit a problem. I ended up getting stuck between specs because my good friend Josh was playing a shaman named Bloodfang. And he went enhancement. And he was just tearing things apart with enhancement. So I went and I spec'd enhancement, but I had elemental gear. I had all int and stamina and some nature damage, and he's like, well, then just respec to elemental for now, and then you can respec to enhancement later. So I got some enhancement gear and respec back to elemental, and And I was just stuck between specs, stuck between gear. And this started after I had used my brother's account to roll on Darkspear. Now, when I used my brother's account to roll on Darkspear, that was in the Mountain Time Zone. And of course, as you know, I live on the East Coast. I did it because the tabs were separated, Eastern, Mountain, Pacific, and he didn't notice that he had a character in the Mountain Time Zone. He made a priest named Cornello, and he took all the stuff off of my character that I made on his account, and he kept all the money. Told me, well, it was on my account, so my account, my money. And I was like, okay, sure, whatever. That's when I made Ebon Main. After Ebon Main failed, I set out and I made the first iteration of Agnar the Warrior. I used the ever-changing Book of Names. I thought, how poignant, Ebon, ever-changing Book of Names, from Ebon Main, the Tauren Shaman, and I pulled up the name Ongar, O-N-G-A-R, and I didn't care for that, so I switched the G in the N. And upon switching the G in the N, I sat there and I said, you know what? I like Agnar. He had blue eyes. He was just an orc warrior. I got him and I played him to cap. He was my first cap, level 60 warrior. I got the Arcanite Reaper on him. He was a blacksmith. He made it himself. I joined a raiding guild. Raided Molten Core. And I respect tank for them. I'll never forget it. The guild leader's name was Persis. And his second in command was Sasuke, Naruto reference. So this should already tell you exactly how they're going to behave. They said, oh, don't worry, we'll pay you back. We'll reimburse you for your respec. We just need extra tanks for Gar. This is before anybody knew anything. And so, I respec tank. And it was okay. But because I couldn't farm his tank, I respec arms afterward. Side note, I remember when... Pardon me. I remember when there was not a quest up there for a bag. That's how early I played. They did not have the carry your weight quest. They had to add it later. But anyway. So, after respecking again, back to arms, I farmed up money, farmed up some stuff, and kept playing, and raid time came again. They said, well, we need more tanks. So I respec tank, and they said, well, we'll reimburse you again. Well, they didn't. And now I didn't have any money. I respec back to arms. And then when the third raid came around, I sold my shield for flight money to make raid. And we raided. And I couldn't off-tank because they're like, well, they're like, Agnar, off-tank. I said, I can't. I sold my shield for flight money because you haven't reimbursed me for the 2 nights that you were supposed to when I did tank. And they're like, well, we'll get to you. We'll get to you about that. Okay. That night I logged off. I logged back on an hour later. I'm guildless. They kicked me from the guild. So I whispered Sasuke. I whispered Persis. I whispered Persis at first, and he said, look, we did not promise to reimburse you. I said, I have screenshots of everything. And I posted them on the forums, and I said, don't deal with this guild because they're just going to take your money, they're going to take your time and your effort, and they're going to give you nothing. So, when that happened, I deleted Agnar, and then remade Agnar. Red eyes, upset at the world. He did what he wanted to do, and nobody was going to tell him otherwise. And that's exactly the way I played after that. Nobody was going to tell me how to play the game. Nobody. If I wanted to tank for you, I'd tank for you. But until that point, I'm doing it my way. And boy, did I. I went Fury instead of Arms. Got to rank 11 using a Frostbite and a Fell Striker because I had no guild. None. Eventually got into a raiding guild and Burning Crusade. Did all those raids. Did heroic dungeons. Went to Wrath. Did heroic dungeons. Still mained the warrior. Played him all the way through. Then Cataclysm came. The first Cataclysm. Not this one. Not the one that came out recently. When that Cataclysm came, I played my warrior still. And they made him watered down and pathetic. They had the pre-Pandaria talents, and it was just... It felt terrible. They felt terrible to play. But I still leveled him first. Then I went to Pandaria. Got him to cap. And then turned around and made a monk. And realized that the monks were so broken I was soloing content. And I named the monk Foldakar. And they were so broken that I was soloing content on level. I not only beat the Violet Hold on level, I turned around and I beat the Pandaren Brewery on level 81 on normal. Soloed it. I raided both LFR and normal in Pandaria. Palace of Lishan and everything. And then I played all the way through Legion. I fell out once to play Age of Conan, which was a great game. Till about level 44, and then you had to grind to level 48, and it died. I was gone for about 3 months out of the 21 years. But I always mained my warrior. Played Legion. Played Battle for Azeroth, or as I called it, Battle for Attention. And it started wearing thin on me. I was like, this is not the game. I want to be done with it. That was the year that my father passed. And a friend of mine got me Shadowlands, or as I call it, Shallowlands. And that was the first time I didn't get my warrior to cap first. I got my DK to cap first. Never got my warrior to cap in Shadowlands. And when I got my DK to cap and I was soloing 5-man content, specifically the mount, there was a mount that came off of a named mob and I soloed it. And I had a friend that says that takes 3 to 4 people to kill. And I soloed it and I said, this game's not it anymore, man. And I was tempted to quit then and there. And I did for a while. That was right after WoW Classic had come out with Burning Crusade. And I left for New World, which I thought New World was going to be... I thought, man, that was it. And it didn't hold me. And I came back. And I had a lot of good memories. I remember the first time leaving the Valley of Trials and seeing this. All of this. I think it's insane. It's incredible to look at this. Right? I mean, look at all the time and energy they spent in all of this. And I mean, it was my stomping ground for years. Most of my characters started here. And then they brought out Sod. And I liked Sod. But they kind of messed it up. And when they messed it up, it made me feel saddened that they didn't have fun with it. It felt like they wanted to have fun with the game, and then they just said, you know what? Nah. We're just gonna bring out a rehashed experience. And then this time it came up here, the Anniversary Edition. My mother and I set out to get High Warlord. I looked at her, I said, you know, after I hit High Warlord, I'm retiring. I'm going to retire my account. It's paid through until July. And she's like, I agree. It's time to move on to new horizons. It's time to move on to new things. It's time to move on to new experiences and new games and doing other things in our life and not spending so much time doing this. And mad props to the people that did the High Warlord grind back in the day with Decay. Honestly, I spent hours daily getting the 500,000 allotted every week until the final 2 weeks, which was 418,750. I spent hours. I felt like I was getting nothing accomplished. And then I got this done. But this warrior did not start in the Valley of Trials. Nope. On Anniversary Mode, I started this warrior and I ran it all the way over to the Undercity and went to Shallow Grave. Because my mom made an undead mage. And we were going to play together. And we did. We played everything together. Except for the last 2 weeks of the High Warlord grind. It was just quicker to queue solo than it was quicker to queue with someone. And so I never did the first quest here. Cutting Teeth. I thought a very poignant way to end this video would be to end it the way it all began. By accepting Caltunk's quest. I believe his name is Caltunk. Caltunk's quest of cutting teeth. And going and completing my cutting teeth. And when I do, I'm going to come back, turn it in, salute him with respect, and wave farewell to my mini Diablo who's been here for all these years. He's joined me on every journey. Even when they brought out the pet battles, he joined me on every single journey. Oh, your place in the world. I stand corrected. I'm gonna go do cutting teeth. Let's head over there and grab that. There we go. And now that we have this, we can go out here and cut the teeth. But take it slow. I'm not going to use charge. I might use Heroic Strike because, well, Heroic Strike was the first ability you got. But it gives me time to sit here and reflect on a lot of things. What with the flood that we had, we didn't lose power, but I just couldn't record. And I said I was going to put this up today, on Tuesday, my retirement video. And I am. Some things I missed. Now, I rolled on Darkspear. And when I rolled on Darkspear, I thought, you know what? That's a cool name because it's the Darkspear tribe. And sure enough, it was cool. Originally, this server had a 1-to-1 ratio, roughly. Alliance to Horde ratio. It was pretty decent. And then the first PvP video for Swifty came out. And when that happened, it caused a massive influx of players. And Swifty Swifty ended up throwing off the server balance. And when he threw off the server balance, it was a 7-to-1 ratio. 6.5 to 7-to-1 ratio. And it made you play better. It made you play a lot better. There was a lot of guilds that didn't like us. Infamous, the Church, Vox Radix, Merciless Midgets. And Merciless Midgets was all dwarves and gnomes. And anybody that was taller than a dwarf or a gnome, they would set up a griefing camp. And that griefing camp would go around and it would make sure that it killed what they called the Talls. And it worked with the Horde to mind control Alliance so that they could kill Alliance players as well. Their guildmaster was named Helam. And he was a dwarf priest, shadow priest. And he set out and he was out there ganking people. So somebody reported him for griefing. And when they reported him for griefing, a GM just happened to be testing something in the area. And he mind-controlled the GM and threw him off. The GM was playing as a Tauren shaman. He was testing something out. And the Tauren shaman came back and whispered to him, still as a Tauren shaman, and said, "Don't do it again." And he had the screenshots of it. And he posted them on the forums. And when he posted them on the forums, he had killed this Tauren shaman multiple times, 3-4 times. And he posted all the conversations they had. So the GM teleported him to GM Island and gave him like a 3-day ban for griefing. And it never stopped him. He still did it. And I'll never forget it, the way the server was. You couldn't go anywhere without having to be rolling heavy or having to face gank squads. It's terrible. But and it was just the way it was. And that was the server. And it's just the way it's been. And I'll just never forget all of it. Truthfully. Everything I've done here, it's... Not all the memories are good. But the time spent was great. And you wouldn't think I would get emotional, but like I said, it's like saying goodbye to an old friend. It's always been there. And it's always been that one game that you could always see, always be. You could always get on and they're there, and your friends were on. And it was a whole list of people. Always. Now it's not that anymore. I've done it all. Done heroics. Done raiding. I went and did arena. Didn't make gladiator title because there was no need. But I finally got High Warlord, which was the one box I couldn't tick. And I've done it all. I've played every character to cap, every class to cap. I had a 60, on the original I had a 60 warrior, 60 warlock, shaman, and I had all these things. And I'll never forget the curse of the gray woolen shirt. Eben Main made a gray woolen shirt. And that gray woolen shirt got worn by him until I had to delete him. And when I had to delete him, I turned around and I started another one. And I sent the shirt over because it wasn't soulbound. When sending the shirt over, that character never made it to cap. And that gray woolen shirt got passed from character to character. Those characters never made cap until Foldakar, the monk. He broke the curse of the gray woolen shirt. So I sent it to him, and I made him wear it from start until finish. And I'm pretty sure if I was to log on to retail today and sign on to Foldakar, he's wearing the gray woolen shirt to this day. But I have nothing left to do in the game. I've played every class. I've played every spec. I've done everything. The new content doesn't thrill me. Dragonflight didn't appeal to me. I didn't play a Drakthir. I didn't touch the Evoker class. It didn't thrill me. Nothing brought me back to the game and said, I need to play this game. Except for the High Warlord grind. And after this video's finished, in a few minutes, I'm going to be uninstalling World of Warcraft for the final time. I'm not coming back. I can't. I've had enough. It's on to bigger and better things. You see that distant mountain? Go there. Go beyond. This song was playing in my ears for the last 4 weeks of the PvP grind. All the while, mindlessly looking out at a hill in the distance. And those words kept singing in my ears. Go there. Go beyond. And it was time. I knew. When I sat down, and I will put a link to this song, and I will give credit where credit is due, in the video description. But it was this that made me realize that it was time. And I stumbled onto this song, this music. And this is what made me realize it was time to give it up. But I'm not giving up anything else. I'm not retiring from YouTube. I'm not retiring from Hearthstone. I'm not retiring from other content. I'm just saying goodbye to an old friend. Who I've known for more than half my life. It's a bittersweet moment. But it's necessary. And this is why it's quite a somber video. I've seen it all. I've done it all. But the one thing I haven't done in this game is walk away and never look back. It's the one thing I never did. It's the one thing I'm doing today. I hope everybody enjoyed this video. It's quite heartfelt for me. It's very bittersweet. I hope everybody has a wonderful evening, a fantastic tomorrow, or a fantastic evening and a wonderful tomorrow. But only play the games that you love. If you enjoy playing them, keep playing them. Even if you're not good, even if no one likes it. If you like it, play it. This game, not for me anymore. And as always, I hope everybody has a good one. Goodbye.